Yo, Avinash, what has the word cock in it and is feeding the Chinese population?
Has what in it? Oh my God. I don't know, Colin.
It's, of course, cockroaches. It's
Oh,
not just the cock
cockroaches.
part, it's the roaches kind of matters with that there. But yeah, so there's
God.
there's this article that we found. Um, Credits to Huffington Post, which, love them or hate them, whatever. It's an interesting topic, but basically, China is farming cockroaches by the billions.
Dang.
Billions.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like how do you actually farm a cockroach, Colin? Like, do
Um,
you just, grow them on a piece of land? Like, hey guys, out here picking strawberries, and then he's like, oh, Farmer Joe, I'm picking my cockroaches.
yeah, so they have these like it looks like basically like warehouses with like small, dark, moist crevices. Um, like just like thin slats between woods, and they're just like piled full of cockroaches, and then they basically feed them with like food waste. So what's really cool about this actually is that uh China, I guess, has had a big with their increase in population. They're having a lot of trouble keeping up with their waste,
Hmm.
and specifically their food waste. And um, this new system, so to speak, of farming these cockroaches turns what was once, going straight to landfills and then obviously just turning to methane and all sorts of bad gases as it breaks down, is now feeding these cockroaches. Their
Hmm.
poop is then being used for fertilizer, and the cockroaches themselves, of course, are being used for a number of things, between feeding people, fish, pigs, even for
Whoa.
like medicines. They're crunching them up, which is like, probably bullshit, but
A little
whatever.
disgusting, but yikes.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it's,
Would you ever have a medicine that has bugs in it?
I mean, the medicine I don't have a problem with because it's already like, it's like a powder. Like, I don't mind eating a powder thing, even if you said
Like
it's like,
bugs?
yeah, bugs is fine. Like, it's more like when you actually see the cockroach, but if it was like crispy and like glazed and something, I'd probably still give it a shot. What about
Yeah.
you?
I think that's where I'm gonna draw a line. I think I'm fine with them eating the food waste. I'm fine with people like farming them and whatever, to get rid of the waste. I personally wouldn't ingest any product that came from a cockroach. Protein shake,
Soft,
fucking Scooby
soft,
snacks,
soft.
like whatever it was. Even if it was like life-saving medication, the fact that it came from a bug is like, ew, no go. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like a lot of the population would be that way. Um,
Hmm.
and they're like if it became mainstream, came over to the States and everywhere else, I definitely think there would be a movement or a push against it,
So you
at
think you
least.
could warm up to eating some roaches, cockroaches?
No, no, Colin.
All right. Well,
That's
I'm all about it. I mean,
uh,
I love, I
would
think
you eat the actual live roach though? If
not
someone's like,
live. I mean,
or
if it
not
was
live, but
live,
like
no. But if it's like
on a
crisped up,
stick.
yeah, sure. If it's like fried, nice and crispy or something, it has to have some
Okay.
flavor to it. Like if it's just like a dried bug with no extra flavor or anything, then it's like, probably I'm thinking no. But, how often do you just eat bland chicken or like fish with nothing on it? Because I
Yeah.
don't.
Sprinkle some
Gotta,
Raid sauce on there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Put some Raid on it. Yeah, it's good for the immune system.
Yeah.
Keeps you
I was
from
actually wondering.
catching a
Um.
bug. Get it?
Oh yeah, that's funny. Oh my God. I forgot what I
Uh,
was gonna ask actually.
yeah, it's just such a good joke. But yeah, 6 billion. They're at 6 billion cockroaches right now. That is
That's
about as many people as there are. And could you imagine if they got out?
Yeah, that would be tragic. What do you have any prevention methods? How do you keep the cockroaches on the farm. Once they eat everything, aren't they gonna be like, "Yo, I'm going to this guy's farm as well," or
Right.
I'm gonna go into the city or this guy's home and eat all his shit.
Yeah. So that's where it's kind of funny. They actually have like a one might say a medieval approach to keeping these cockroaches in check. So they surround the warehouse or whatever where they're farming these cockroaches with a moat filled with fish. So if any of the cockroaches start trying to escape, go elsewhere, unless they all left at once,
hmm
which Jesus Christ, that'd be terrible. But theoretically, if
Swarm.
they're just trickling out, right now, these
Yeah.
fish just start munching on them. So it's pretty cool and kind of
Dang.
hilarious. So that means to go to work to feed these cockroaches or whatever, they have to cross a moat, not keeping anything out, but keeping their inventory in.
Yeah. That's wild. Like just that who would think build a moat? That's such a like a weird
Classic,
approach to it, but
classic.
also if it's highly effective. Cockroaches have wings though, right? They can fly.
Yeah, but not really. Like they don't, I don't think.
Why not? Can't they
That's a
just
good
be like, "Hey
question.
guys, hey, you ever seen the movie Ants?" I know those are locusts, but that's what I feel like bugs
Yeah,
are thinking. Like,
locusts do like fly. I can't think of like when you think of cockroaches, they definitely have wings, but I don't think they use them very much. But um,
tragic. You could get a lot further if they used them.
true, true. Yeah, I think it's a really cool solution though because as China continues probably to see more impacts of their quick industrialization and everything, the intense amounts of pollution and, you know, dealing with higher densities of their populations as it's going more urban, right? They're going to
Mm,
run into these problems and have a lot less time to solve things. And it's going to force their hand basically to find more sustainable solutions to stuff like, farming cockroaches, for example, to manage food waste and also to feed livestock. So now you have livestock being fed by a more sustainable system, so to speak, and then their poop is now used for fertilizer for agriculture. Um, and
yeah.
and yeah, you're looking just with one idea, which seems like really weird. Of like, what if I just, you know, have some cockroaches fuck in my basement for a while and sell them?
hmm
Now, it's a massive, massive industry, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. I actually had an interesting thought, and I think China could possibly pull it off. Actually, I don't think America can pull it off.
What's
And
that?
the reason I had this weird thought is I think it would only be possible in a communist regime, but
True.
essentially is you regulate the food types that you can eat. So by saying
Mhm.
you can only eat these fruits, and these are the only fruits that are made or harvested, right?
Right. So you force
And
seasonality basically with
yeah,
produce.
yep.
That's cool.
And not only that, packaging can be unified completely, right? So you get, one jar of, peaches, one, box of whatever, and you just come back to the store with the same box or whatever, right? And you can just reuse that, crate or box, whatever it is.
Hmm.
And basically all your food waste will be of a similar type, gets fed to the cockroaches, and if it is systematic and formulated, that poop can be fertilizer for the next round. um, and you could basically create a balanced closed loop within that of like waste and food, and you see what I'm saying, but that would never work in America. I
Yeah.
definitely
What?
don't think so.
I mean, communism doesn't work anywhere, but
No, no,
um,
I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying
yeah,
that
no,
you
I
could
got
force
you.
it to work in that balance.
Right,
Uh,
right. If you have
yeah,
the
it's
controlled
it's not.
economy,
Yeah,
basically. Yeah, no,
yeah.
it's an interesting idea, and I do think, um, I don't
I
know, there's
I,
almost a
I want to
movement
coin the
away from
term though.
globalization. Coin the term what?
Oh, I want to call it summer camp poop. The reason is because everyone eats the same food at the same summer camp, so your all your food smells the same.
True. Is that a thing that you came across in your summer
My
camp days?
adventures. I never went to summer camp.
You're hiding in the bathroom, like going into the stall after everybody and taking a good whiff and being like, yep, smells the
Nope.
same as mine. Crazy. No, but everybody's
But
shit smells different to themselves. Everybody knows that, you know?
yeah, I think so.
That's a
I
fact.
never
That's a
I
fact.
never spent too much time studying this.
Oh, okay. Well, you sound like an expert, so I was just,
Okay.
trying to trying to follow there. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I don't know. I think it's pretty interesting. There's obviously economic opportunity in more rural areas to pull this off, because it requires, basically cheap land and space. Doesn't require a whole lot of upfront capital to establish necessarily, and um, I don't know. I just think it's overall a really cool thing that they're doing, and that there's actually a demand for the cockroaches in China.
You
Sorry,
love using that line.
I had to scratch my head. Um, which one? No, is
Oh my God.
not the hair on it. But yeah. So that's kind of my ultimate takeaway is that I think as China and possibly India as well, countries with really dense populations and so forth are gonna run into these problems and gonna be forced to come up with solutions a lot quicker than us in America that, kind of have
Develop
had a lot
things
more time to
as
develop.
immediate.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Um, do you think it could be possible in America? Like, do you think people would be open to it? And do you think the demand will be there?
Well, I think the economic opportunity would still be there for using it as a source for feeding, fish, farmed fish and pigs maybe.
Yeah.
Uh, and possibly like using the powder. Like I don't know what nutritional value cockroaches have. Like I didn't get too deep into that science of it, so to speak.
Yeah,
Um,
they're high in protein.
but yeah, so I would think that it may not catch on yet as like food source or snacks or things like that.
Hmm.
It's pretty hard to change. I feel like America's mindset towards eating bugs because it hasn't been like a part of our culture. Um,
Yeah.
whereas other places it can be pretty standard.
Yeah.
But if we were forced, if our hand was forced for some reason or another, people adapt when you have to. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Hmm.
but
Interesting.
so yeah, I mean, uh, we're
Have you
gonna
ever eaten a bug?
have I, yeah, I bit an ant in half because it bit me, so I bit it back and ate it. It was like
Strange.
in like that was like eighth grade too. That wasn't even like when I was like a really little kid. That was like I knew what I was doing and I was like getting revenge on the ant. So yeah, yeah, I did that.
That's wild. Holy shit. I've never
You
I've
ended
never
up
eaten
that.
a bug. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, it wasn't like, when you
oh,
squish a cockroach or something, it has like sustenance to it. An ant, there's like nothing, there's virtually nothing there. So it wasn't like that gross. I wouldn't just like pick a cockroach up and eat it because it's like on the floor. That's
yeah.
disgusting. But and
Honestly, now we're talking about it, I'm probably open to eating bugs.
true.
And want to hear the reason why?
Why?
Because Simba ate bugs in Lion King, so
True.
I'm sure they're slimy yet satisfying.
Just trying to be more like Simba. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
gonna be the
that's the
episode
goal.
title. Just trying to be more like Simba. Yeah. Um,
It's gonna be wild.
but yeah, so as you guys may or may not have noticed, we're trying to take a new approach to off topics. The last like, how many did we do? Like 30 or
Three,
so.
three. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, just total. We've been doing them for a bit now, and I think we've gotten better, more comfortable talking in like podcast terms. But when we looked at it, we were like, we want to be able to actually offer more value to people interested in different sustainable things while still going off topic from time to time. That's what it's kind of all about. Um, so yeah, we're trying to tie in some things that are actually interesting, doing a little bit of research into stuff. And that kind of goes into our next segment here. We started with douche of the day, and we're like, it's too negative all the time. We'd like to at least be
Yeah.
some negative, some positive. So um, right now we're going to call it dunce or dope. Uh, name pending.
Subject to
Not
change.
not quite there yet, but the point is, we're gonna talk about somebody, something. Are they a dunce or is it dope? So
Yeep.
yeah, so this week we got the French president Emmanuel Macron. Macron. I don't watch the
Macron.
news. I just read stuff, so I don't know how it's
Macron.
pronounced. Do you?
You gotta say it like a French person. Macron.
Macron. Yeah, I need to
Yep.
get my uncle to say it. Um,
Thought you're Scottish.
Yeah, I have a blood French uncle though, or he's not blood relative, but he's married into the family French. He's blood French, blood of French blood. He's of French blood,
Oh,
and
okay.
a chef stereotypically. Um, so yeah, and he actually hates France's politics and their socialism.
Interesting.
So shit is going down in France.
Yeah.
It's been all over the news. I heard is about taxes, and honestly, until I read up on it today, I didn't really know what about. I was just like, they're French. They're just, I don't know,
Protesting
emotional.
again.
Yeah, I don't know. They just don't like something, whatever. I saw a video of
Yeah.
them like spraying shit onto like parliament buildings or something. But that's besides the point. So,
Colin can't read French, so he didn't know what they're writing.
yeah, I just saw brown stuff coming out of the top of a truck that looked like a septic style truck. So I was like, interesting. But basically, what's going down here is uh, they kind of in a sweeping fashion impose some steep carbon taxes. And as you know, French is already socialist, so they're already taxed very heavily in general, right? So now you add on top of that these new taxes to fossil fuels, basically. Economically, it makes sense when you tax something, it's used to discourage its use, right? So they hoped to reduce their carbon footprint as a country by reducing their use of fossil fuels, but they did this without even considering seemingly how it impacts the common man. And the common man got really fucking mad and took to the streets.
So,
So
explain how it affects the common man. Because wasn't it like a top-down approach? Like
uh,
they taxed um the bigger companies, right? And how does that affect the common man?
um, so basically the common man, so to speak, is a lot more sensitive to um, changes in tax-based policies, right? So if you
Hmm.
had, for example, a 5% tax on something across the board, right? As
Yeah.
usual, the rich or the people with large incomes are going to be able to afford it and they can take that hit, but it makes a much bigger dent in the regular person who needs to drive a car to work or who, it raises energy prices across the board, their heating and things for their home. Um, so yeah, it's the approach needs to be something that more so empowers the masses to be on board because now what you're going to get is uh, a division in the country and people against uh, things that are trying to, attack climate change where it matters, um, because they're doing it in a way that is hurting people economically who can't really afford that hit as
Hmm.
much, right?
Yeah.
So the other approach would be more like, what they're calling now the Green New Deal is what we hope to see, where there's
Hmm.
a huge investment in sustainable infrastructure, right? So if the government, rather than, punishing, so to speak, through taxes to discourage use of fossil fuels, if they instead invested in, establishing um, more efficient like energy housing
Yeah.
things or subsidized, right? Solar, whatever. There's plenty of ways that you could do it, but you would have a greater likelihood of getting the common man on your side because you're likely providing jobs through that investment in infrastructure and um, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. And just my initial thoughts on this is um, this kind of rushed like taxation. It could be a good like foretelling of an approach that other governments might take. As you know, the climate gets worse, and people start fretting, and governments start fretting. I feel like they might take the same approach and yield the same result. And that's not the overall goal, I think, of sustainability, which is
No.
um, not civil unrest and protests and violent
Right.
shit. Um, so what can we like learn from this? Like, you know, how should other governments approach it as well? Because you know, the U.S. and I mean every other country is going to follow suit, I think. Um,
uh yeah, so I don't know. It's frustrating to me because as a somebody who cares about the environment, obviously I like the fact that there's a guy in power who's at least trying to do something and who's taking the whole climate change problem seriously and wanted
mhm.
to, help lead a global approach towards climate change. All of that
Yeah.
conceptually very positive, right?
Hmm.
Again, the problem is there's if sustainability becomes something exclusive to the rich, then it's never going to work until it's a forced hand moment. And then you'll see a bigger
Yeah.
division between, the poor having to simply cut back and entirely change their lifestyle, as in, now we have water restrictions, so I have to like, shit in buckets or something, cover it with sawdust, whereas the rich would be able to afford some composting toilet and maintain a similar level of,
Convenience.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
So if this route is, I think the protest is a positive thing because it it put a check on um, this kind of big government approach, and I think the response should be, how do we how do we solve this in a more grassroots fashion that will, engage people on both left and right? Because now you're gonna create an even further political division as
Hmm.
well with that. And the environment is something that should not at all be uh, like a party issue. It's insane to me that the environment that we all share has become like seen as a party issue, and why does it seem like Republicans outright don't make it a priority,
Yeah.
and
Or
that
deny that it
Democrats are,
exists.
right? And the denial of climate change is so it's so scummy. um
Fucking stupid. Just flat out dumb as shit. Like denying evidence. Don't know science. Like if you can find a scientist who disagrees and they're actually a scientist, invite them to talk to us. Because I'd really like to meet the dumbass who thinks
no,
otherwise.
it's some sort of probably like paid off scientist by
Exactly.
energy companies or whatever. But
Sell
um,
out. Sorry.
Yeah, one thing that I found interesting though that was in this article, it was like a CNN article,
Hmm.
and there was a quote here that I'm going to read, but basically there's this thing called the Carbon Disclosure Project, where it's supposed to track uh, big corporations and a financial industry and their climate commitments, right? Because big companies, a lot of them now are making some big promises as far as cutting back on their carbon footprint and things like that. Um, so let's skim here, which so more than 275 companies with a combined market cap, so that's like the value of the companies of $6.6 trillion, dickload of money, and more than 160
Dang.
financial firms responsible for assets of over $86.2 trillion are a part of this disclosure project. Um, it says, but these carbon reduction promises aren't government treaties and their commitments are self-reported. There's a clear problem there that gives plenty of room to lie, to say that you met something that you didn't, or to, fudge how you um, use certain numbers. Everybody messes with stats to make it work for them, right? So
Yeah, that's insane.
um, yeah, simply put, it says the world's community has no means to hold the corporations to be accountable. So when Walmart vows to remove 1 gigaton of CO2 emissions by 2030, or insert a bunch of other examples of companies promising to cut back. There's
Hmm.
no way for angry French farmers to discern the truthful outcomes of such lofty aspirations. So basically, it's like these big companies are saying, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, we're on board for making these really big changes," um,
Yeah.
but it's impossible to really hold them accountable or track what impact it's making. Whereas if you put in some, regulation or whatever that directly impacts the common man, it's, affecting that person, that, French
Yeah.
farmer or what
And
have
and
you.
uh,
So,
yeah, yeah. My only take on that though is you're treating two entities separately. Like, I mean, the same. A company is not a person. A company's whole purpose is to make money, right?
mm,
Keep the stocks up. It doesn't have a conscious. It doesn't live on this planet, right? It does not survive off of the food, the resources of this planet. All it does is
I could
fuck
make
shit
an
up.
argument otherwise,
Um,
but
it's
because I'm
people.
I'm very pro business though is the thing, but in a positive way. Anyway, continue.
So anyway,
Could get real off topic.
yeah, no, but I just think you shouldn't treat them that way. The people that run the company are running it in the interest of the company. Uh, it's about shareholders, about, making sure their employees are, fine, making sure their stockholders are fine. That's the game there.
Hmm.
It's not about, saving the planet or even living. They don't have to feed the company. Um, it's
Well,
it's just money at the end of the day.
right.
And
Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
and with the farmers, it comes down to, food on the table. Like that's their, livelihood, but also the environment that they're living in, um,
Hmm.
eating and living and I don't know, whatever you do in a farm. Um, but
Whatever
that's
you
the
do,
difference there.
fucking the sheep, things like that. But
No, damn,
it was on your
Colin,
list. I see
stay
your
far away
list in
from
our notes
farms.
right here.
Oh
That was
my
in your
God.
list that you were saying about what farmers do.
No,
Um, use corn cobs for weird things. But anyway, um,
well, what's your take on it, Colin?
yeah. So my I come, from this small business background, and uh, a business ultimately is a collection of people, and it is there to grow and continue. Like there is basically that business philosophy of like, well, if you're not growing, then you're shrinking or you're dying, right? And that's obviously inherently not sustainable, and no business ever has withstood the test of time, so to speak, like a city has and things. So there's a natural like dying off. Even giants, like Amazon or whatever, are gonna be susceptible one day potentially as economies change, as the world changes to be obsolete, right? And it's really hard to think about now, but it's like what is that camera company like fucking
Kodak.
Kodak? Yeah, things like that where one day you're running shit and then something happens and you're all of a sudden 3 steps behind. Um, so there's like this ebb and flow of business, I guess, and
Hmm.
um, ultimately, I think it's great if companies are like climate stuff and environment stuff is on their radar for these huge companies.
Hmm.
Ultimately, these huge companies do account for a big part of the the environmental impact of the world, right? Um, the the collection of these actions, right, all the way up and down the supply chain from pulling a resource out of the ground to, delivering it to your local Walmart to you putting it in your face. That's all uh there's like different touch points basically with the environment at each level. And that's
Yeah.
why big business will have the opportunity to make the biggest impact t- potentially.
Yes,
Potentially. The
but they're also the
problem is
biggest
the
culprits.
accountability. Right, right. So it's like, are you gonna, it's like that question, could you make a bigger impact, like, say, I don't know, working within ExxonMobil or something, somebody who has the direct, potentially one of the most negative impacts of the environment versus being somebody that is doing their best with a small nonprofit or whatever, but
Hmm.
you never really get to a level where you can make anything beyond a local impact, which matters, but that's just the thing. We're in this world where there's this division between big global companies and small companies, and it's gonna take both. Ultimately, it's gonna take the commitment from both to really, I think, turn around all this environmental stuff,
Yeah,
climate change and all that. It has to. Um,
that's
but
true.
we need a way to hold them accountable. That's what it comes down to as well.
Yeah, I think a huge, I don't want to say a huge challenge, but a big challenge is getting everyone on the same fucking page. There's still so many people that deny it that, it's not a priority. Like, um, I think once everyone acknowledges it and there's no doubt about it,
Right.
now everyone's on the same boat. Now we can at least start
Yeah,
dumping the
start
water out.
start rowing in the same direction, or everybody's bailing water instead of some people pissing in the boat. And you're like,
Yeah,
Johnny, stop
exactly.
pissing in the fucking boat, dude. It's going down. And he's like, what?
Exactly.
And he just keeps chugging
And
water. And you're like, Johnny, Jesus Christ, stop peeing in the boat. While you're
yeah,
sitting there shoveling out his piss. He's
it's
peeing it
just like,
into your bucket. Really disrespectful. That's what it feels
yeah,
like. Johnny peeing in
yeah,
your bucket while you're trying to.
yeah. But it's not just Johnny. It's literally like, I don't say the whole Republican Party and friends, but
Yeah. Meanwhile, your boat captain is steering you into an iceberg, and he's like, "Let's see what happens." Yeah, it's interesting.
yeah, it's crazy.
I'm gonna work on that metaphor. I like it.
Yeah,
Bailing
I
a
think
boat out while people are peeing into it, and the
yeah.
captain is driving you into an
I think
iceberg.
Musk used that
Uh,
what's it called, that uh like analogy.
really?
Yeah, it's
Nice.
like he's like the only one like dumping water out.
Yeah. Well,
Uh, but
well,
yeah, it's
each
crazy.
one of you guys has the ability to make your own impact. So start peeing in your backyard. Start bailing water out. Do what you can. You
Uh,
know.
Garrett going
True.
not
All
me.
right.
That's also
Pee in your roommate's toilet so that it goes on their water bill. And you can wipe your conscience clean. That's how it works.
y'all just water bill like that. Okay.
Just make something else shit. No, but seriously, we came out lately actually with this awesome broke guide to sustainability. So I just want to talk about that real quick. If you go to our website and enter your email in, you'll see it. There's a pop-up for you to subscribe. We'll send you this pretty dope broke guide that one of our lovely interns, Darian, made. If you want to get to know her, check out one of the past episodes. We did an interview with her. It's really cool. She's a great person. But um, learn how to save money, and you don't have to be the rich guy to change your own lifestyle. So please check that out. And I'm
Protect your
forgetting.
world.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool.
Nice.
Welcome everyone to the Protect Your Wild podcast. I'm your host Avinash, and I'm here with
Colin Campbell.
And we're here today to talk to you about food and animals that eat food, like cockroaches, because they're a fucking great animal, right?
We need a better intro into that.
Yeah, yep. They have